Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Horror Trans. I am Stephanie Bree. I am your host. I am a transgender woman, and I talk about all things horror. And today we're talking about Candyman. Don't say his name too many times. Candyman is this weird horror movie that takes place in the 90s, or is made in the 90s. And basically, it's this story about a slave or a runaway slave, I can't remember, who gets caught and he gets killed. And his ghost comes back to life in modern times and terrorizes people and gets revenge on people for being bad to the black community. So it takes place in this apartment building, this rundown ghetto apartment building, and you have this school teacher or student, I can't remember which one she is, and she's basically writing a thesis or something on Candyman, a paper of some sort, and so she's investigating the Candyman murders. This movie's really weird, so let's get that out of the way. She ends up investigating the murders, and she uncovers this apartment that was hidden inside of another apartment, and finds out that there was a doorway between the two apartments through the mirror. And so she starts piecing together the story, and she uncovers bodies, and she gets attacked by these people who tell her to stop investigating. And then Candyman shows up and basically says he wants her to be his victim. And he's like, terrorizing her. And he starts killing people, but whenever he kills somebody, she's in the room, she blacks out, and she wakes up and there's a dead body in the room, and she gets blamed for it, so the police arrest her. And so she spends the rest of the movie trying to convince the cops that she's innocent. They think she's crazy, and she ends up going back to the house where she burns down the house, and, spoilers, she dies. Candyman gets her in the end. And this is a very scary movie. This is a very creepy movie. Very intense, very suspenseful movie. It's not super gory, but it's got gore. It is bloody. It is violent, but it's very slow paced. Now, normally I don't like slow paced movies, but this one works. This one works really good. So, what's my recommendation? Candyman, the first one, and I've said the name too many times, so I better not go near a mirror, is it's a buy. This is absolutely a buy. This is probably one of the better horror movies of the 90s, by a long shot. There were not a lot of good horror movies in the 90s. There's a few, but not a lot. The 90s was not the decade for horror, unfortunately. The 80s was the golden age of horror, and we're kind of getting a good renaissance now since like 2006 on. We're in the middle of a good renaissance, but the 90s was suckage for horror movies, and Candyman stands out because it's a damn good movie. So I have to break every mirror in my house now because I've said his name too many times. Thanks for watching.